Oh my goodness. Oh my God, the bomb. What about Edomites? What about Edomites? People have been asking the question, what are we going to do? We're in a trap. And there's no way we're going to be able to deal with this. What about
They've
Edomites?
been watching till right. Let's let whoever, because we had almost 100 more people on here. Tell everybody right now, chat, that this is the part where we address the Edomite dilemma. Tell everybody, chat. This is the part you've been waiting for. Tell everybody, chat.
What about Edomites? Dun, 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 dun. So as we've illustrated with the prophets, disciples, Paul, and even Christ himself, God as well, salvation is extended to non-Israelites. Paul in particular was going to mostly Greek provinces and teaching the people there. What is the biblical nationality of these European nations? Edomites. So now, what do we do about Obadiah's vision concerning Edom? Let's examine it. Obadiah is a false prophet. Psych, wrong.
You guys can't deny that. You can't deny that Paul was going to bloodline Gentiles, and those were Greeks, Caucasians, and so you're forced at this point to say Paul was wrong, or the white man is not, or the white man is not Edomites, or God is wrong for saying that in Amos 9 that they're called by his name.
The phrase "none shall remain" is an expression to communicate a great high level of destruction. It is not to be taken hyper literally. Just like even Israelites would agree, all doesn't literally mean all. This is hyperbolic language. That's what this is. More examples. Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. We're not going to just get one witness. We're going to get another one. Here we go. Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. And he is not. Now, there are two schools of thought with Jeremiah 49. One, that Jeremiah 49 is yet to happen to the Edomites, right? Or two, that it happens with the Babylonians. Either way, it doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because watch. The Hebrew word for not is Strong's H369. Ayin. It means to be nothing or to not exist.
Other translations, other translations say they will not be in existence anymore.
Exactly. So Jeremiah 49:10, it says that when this happens, that there will not be Edomite existing anymore. This prophecy is contextually about the Babylonians going into the land of Edom and laying it waste. Now, someone could say that this is a yet to be fulfilled prophecy. Okay, cool. But look at verse 11. Yet verse 11 says, leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive. And let thy widows trust in me. Wait a minute. How is it that the Most High can say that they will cease to exist? Then in the very next verse, he says he will preserve some of them alive. Because it's hyperbolic language. It's not literal. Meaning they've got destroyed so bad that even it tells you right here that there's going to be a bunch of fatherless children. There's going to be a bunch of orphans. If you have a society that has a bunch of orphans, that means they got decimated, destroyed. It's an expression. It's not to be taken quite literally. Like when Christ said, eat my flesh and drink my blood, even that is not literal. All throughout the Bible, we have Hebraic expressions. This is another one.
In chat, how do you guys feel about Yahweh saying he's going to preserve some of the Edomites alive, and he wants the Edomite widows to trust in him? Do you guys still would you guys curse God or what? Because it seems like you guys would curse God for saying this here.
What is that? You know, how do we then, because we're going back to Obadiah, of course, it says no Edomite would remain, right? In Ezekiel 7, it said no Israelite would remain when the Babylonians destroyed us, yet Israelites did remain. Jeremiah 49, we're seeing where God says, again, ironically with the Edomites, that they would cease to exist, yet they have orphans and widows. Those are Edomites. So is God wrong? Is God wrong, everybody?
Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well in all truth and sincerity. Shalom, peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, the house of David, starting with 144,000, followed by the 1/3 remnant. Shalom. So Genesis, man, they've sold out, man. It's clear. Now, can we prove that? No. But we know by their doctrine, by what you just saw, man. Now they're saying, which they've been in this spirit for years, really. Now they're saying that Gentiles, natural Gentiles, as in the other nations, can be saved, can receive salvation, can be beamed up into the chariots, man, which is not true in any form or fashion, man. So that clip you saw was from this video here that you're now seeing on the screen. Non-Israelites receive salvation, not clickbait. And this is from Genesis, Deacon Hakar and Hassad, and they're going the hell off, man. That's why a lot of these guys, these guys that call themselves Israelites that's leading the people astray, these false prophets, their mouths must be stopped, man. All right, let's start with that. Let's go to Titus 1 and 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. All right, and these guys, we strongly believe that these guys have sold out, man. They're basically reverting back to Christianity, man. All right, and in the video, man, it's damn near like a 4-hour video. I haven't watched all of it. All right, but you know they're just going the hell off on so many things, man. I just chose this part, all right, to rebuke. All right, but it's so much in that video that they're going off on, man. From saying that, which I'm also going to cover in this video, that Paul was teaching, preaching salvation to actual Gentiles as in other nations. All right, that what else? So much, man, so much. Yeah, Obadiah 1 and 18 does not mean that the Edomites are going to be done away with. All right, they're just going off on so much, man. All right, teaching that Cornelius is not an Israelite. All right, they're reading from the damn Dead Sea Scrolls, all kind of madness and folly, man. All right, but I just want to focus on the part where they said, Edomites can be saved, and Paul was preaching to the bloodline Edomites, and that Obadiah 1 and 18 does not mean that the Edomites are going to be done away with forever. So that's the part, that's what this video is about, man. That's what I'm rebuking. All right. So I want to start with this. All right. What you see right here. Because that's why I put it in the introductory clip. All right, they're saying that Obadiah 1 and 18, that's not saying that the Edomites are going to be completely done away with. Well, yes, it is saying that, man. And they tried to use Ezekiel 7, which they got wrong. All right. Because when you go to Ezekiel 7, let's go there. Ezekiel 7 is not the Lord saying that he was going to kill all the Israelites. He's saying that he was going to kick them out of the land by way of the Babylonians. All right. He wasn't saying that he was going to kill them all. All right. Because they tried to use Ezekiel 7 and 11 to say that this is the Lord saying that he was going to kill off the Edomites. No, he's saying he's going to kick them out of the land. Ezekiel 7 and 11. Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor any of theirs. Neither shall there be wailing for them. All right. So this was about the Israelites getting conquered, taken into captivity, and driven out of their land, taken out of their land. And that's the Lord's punishment, man. That's why to this day we're in exile. We're not in our land. This is not the Lord saying that he was going to kill all the Israelites. All right, because the Lord is never going to do that. All right, the Lord is merciful towards his people. All right, and there's always going to be a remnant. All right, the elect. So they completely went off on that, man, saying that, see, it says none of them shall remain, just like in Obadiah. No, this is different. He's saying that they're going to be kicked out of the land, exiled from the land. All right, estranged from the land, which we are to this very day. All right, so that's that. Now let's go back to this. Because in Jeremiah 49, they completely got it wrong, man. They tried to say that this is saying that that the Lord is not gonna kill all Edomites, which this is off. They completely got this wrong, man. All right, so they tried to use this. I'm gonna read it. This is one of their slides from their video, Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So they put in the Hebrew word and all that. And they go on to say this prophecy is contextually about the Babylonians going into the land of Edom and laying waste. It says Esau would be nothing, i.e. cease to exist, right? Yet verse 11 says this, leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. How is it that the Most High can say they will cease to exist and then say he will preserve some of them alive? Because it is hyperbolic language, it's not literal. See, they're trying to use this to say that Obadiah 1:18 is not literal, which Obadiah 1:18 is literal, man. When the Lord says there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, he means just that, man. Because Jeremiah 49:10, Jeremiah 49:11 is talking about Israelites. 10 is talking about Esau, Edom, the Edomites, but verse 11 is talking about Jake. That's talking about Israelites, Jacob. Verse 11 is not talking about Edomites. All right. Let's go read verse 11. Jeremiah 49. This is talking about Israelites. Verse 11 is not talking about Edomites. Verse 10 is, I'll start at verse 10. Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. And this is common sense. When have the Lord ever told Edomites to trust in him, man? He's talking about Israelites, Jake. It goes on in verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Awashah, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drunken. So this is talking about Israelites, all right? The beginning of Jeremiah 49 and verse 12 is talking about Israelites, because our judgment was not to drink of the cup. Remember, the Edomites are the people of the Lord's curse to judgment. So the beginning of verse 12 is still talking about Jacob, Israelites, continuing from verse 11. So he's saying in verse 12, if I punish my people like this, then you know I'm going to punish y'all, Esau. That's what he's saying regarding the Edomites. Because he said, look, for thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? So, yeah, he's saying, Esau, Edom, if I did my people like this, that means surely I'm going to judge you Edomites. That's what the Lord is saying, man, through the prophet Jeremiah. Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. All right. So when it says, leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me, he's talking about Israelites. The Israelites are known as the fatherless and widows when you read some scriptures. When you read some of the Bible, man, when you see fatherless and widows, it's referring to the Israelites. It's referring to Jacob. Let's prove that. Let's go to Lamentations chapter 5. Lamentations chapter 5, I'll start at verse 1. The subheading is a prayer for mercy. Remember, O Lord, Yahweh, by Shem Hawashah, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Verse 2, our inheritance is turned to strangers and our houses to aliens. This is the point. Lamentations 5 and 3. Remember, fatherless and widows, right? All right. Lamentations verse 5, Salakia, I'm a little excited. Lamentations chapter 5 and verse 3. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. All right. So when you see in Jeremiah, when you go back to Jeremiah chapter 49 and verse 11, all right, when it says, leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me, it's talking about Israelites. All right. It's talking about Israelites, not Edomites. So that's a failed attempt from Genesis, man. From Hakar and Hassad. All right. Because Obadiah 1 and 18, it is literal, man. Let's go there. Obadiah. It is literal. Let's go there, man. These false prophets, the Lord gonna stop their mouths, man. But you can believe that. You can bet on that. Obadiah, chapter 1. And straight to the point, Obadiah 1 and 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For the Lord Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah has spoken it. And this is literal, man. Esau is going to be done away with. The Edomites are going to be done away with. They're going to be extinct as a nation, as a race of people. After 1,000 years, there will not be any Edomites on earth, man. There will not be any Edomites in existence. All the nations are going to be melanated. They're going to have pigment because that's how it was in the beginning. All right? There won't be so-called white people on earth after 1,000 years in the kingdom of heaven when the Israelites are ruling. That's going to be on earth, of course. All right, because that's how it was in the beginning. All right, remember, the mark of Cain is leprosy. Not having any pigment, your blood showing forth through your skin, that's a curse. In the beginning, all the people of the earth, all the nations were dark-skinned people. They were people of color. All right? So this is literal, man. Because there's always, let me ask Genesis this, according to Saul. Why did the Lord take the spirit from King Saul, from Saul? Genesis. All right. Why did the Lord take the spirit from Saul? I'll just tell you, because he didn't kill all the Edomites, which it wasn't in that time. All right, because it's our prophecy, everything had to play out because you had to have the wicked in rulership. But Saul did not kill all the Edomites, which the Lord commanded him to do. Now, the Lord knew he wasn't going to do it because for prophecy's sake. All right, because like I said, everything had to play out. But even then, the Edomites, King Saul was told to do away with, to delete off all the Edomites, and he didn't do it. All right, but in this time, now that judgment has played out, the Edomites are going to be no longer needed because they're the wicked. All right, and we've been under their wicked rulership. So once everything plays out and Yahweh shall returns, the Edomites are no longer going to be needed. After they build up the kingdom for 1,000 years in the kingdom, in hardcore bondage, the worst slavery ever, they're going to be done away with, man. Because this is not the only verse in the Bible that says this. All right. So this is to be taken literal. What about other verses? Let's go to Numbers 24. Because Obadiah 1 and 18 is not the only place in the Bible where you read about the Edomites being done away with. Let's go to Numbers 24. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 24, verse, I'll go straight to the point. Straight to the point. Numbers 24 and 20. And when he looked on Amalek, and Amalek is the head tribe of the nation of Edom, all right, which are Amalek is the small hats, the Jewish people, the people that's in the land now that's ruling, that the earth is given into the hand of now, the wicked. Amalek is the head tribe of the Edomites, all right. Numbers 24 and 20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. So what about this, Genesis, according to Saul? Since y'all saying Obadiah 1 and 18 is hyperbolic and not literal, what about Numbers 24 and 20? All right, see, Obadiah 1 and 18 is not the only verse that says that, man. But see, they appeal to novices, to the unlearned. They can get the undesirables, the non-elect. But to anybody that have studied, they would know that Obadiah 1 and 18 is literal. All right, and so like if I'm a little louder, I'm excited, passionate for this truth. All right, because these guys, they're going the hell off, man. And that's why these false prophets are going to get a swift judgment, man. All right. So what about this, Genesis? Numbers 24 and 20. His latter end shall be that he perish forever. What about this one? Is this not literal either? All right, let's go here. What about this one? Let's go to Job. This is Job chapter 20 and verse, I'll start at 5. I'll start at 4. Job 20 and 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Who is the wicked and the hypocrite? Esau, Edom, the Edomites. Malachi 1 and 4. They're the wicked. They're the devil that the Bible speaks of. So this is telling you who this is talking about. Verse 6. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream. He shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more. Neither shall his place any more behold him. So what about this, Genesis, Akonasad? I guess this is not literal either. So y'all get the little novices, the unlearned, man. The ones that aren't studying to show themselves approved. That's who y'all will get, man. Y'all can't get the hopeful elect. So Obadiah 1 and 18 is very much so literal, man. It's not hyperbolic. Now there is hyperbolic and symbolism and parables and figurative language in the scriptures, but Obadiah 1 and 18 is not of that sort. Obadiah 1 and 18 is not such, man. Obadiah 1 and 18 is literal. All right. So these guys, they're going the hell off, man. You know? So they're going the hell off. They went off on Ezekiel 7. They went off here on Jeremiah 49. All right. So Obadiah 1 and 18 is very much literal, man. The Edomites are going to absolutely be done away with after they serve 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and captivity, slavery in the kingdom of heaven under the rulership of the Israelites, starting with our Lord Yahweh Shah. They're absolutely going to be done away with. They're going to be extinct, man. The Lord is going to do away with every single Edomite. That's literal. All right. All right. So that's first and foremost, man. See, these guys, they're going the hell off. All right. And he mentioned, also thinking about the clip. All right. He also mentioned Amos 9. Let's go there. Well, why did he say that the heathen are called after his name? All right. So let's go there. Amos, the 9th chapter. Because this ties in with Obadiah. That's what made me think of it. Amos 9, because he quoted Amos 9. And where is it? Because this is why I say they might as well just teach Christianity, man. Because they're using the same rhetoric as Christianity. Vocab Malone, man. Saying that, Paul taught the natural Gentiles, all nations can be saved. They're using the same scriptures Christians try to use. All right. And Amos 9 and 12 is one of them. All right. So I'll start at verse 11. Amos 9 and 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen and close up the breaches thereof. And I will raise up his ruins and I will build it as in the days of old. So the context is what? The house of David being raised up. That's the subject matter, right? So let's read on through. That they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Hawashah that doeth this. Now when it says of Edom and the heathen that are called by his name, this is off. All right. Why I say what's off is they're trying to use this to justify it. All right. Because when it says that the heathen are called by his name, meaning the house of David are going to possess them. Remember, they're going to be slaves in the kingdom. Esau, Edom, the Edomites, and all the other nations they're gonna be our slaves. They're gonna be our possession. All right. And furthermore, when you read the different, I know when you read the Spanish translation, I learned this from the brothers of Great Millstone. When you read the Creole, the Haitian Creole translation, when it says "called by my name," it means that the Lord is over them. Meaning what the Lord is. One of his titles is the Father of spirits. The Lord does not love all nations. He only loves the Israelites, starting with the elect. But all nations are subject to the rule of Yahweh Bashem Hawashah. Remember, he's the Father of spirits. He controls all the people of the earth. The earth and everything everything in it is under the control of Yahweh Bashem Hawashah. All right. So either way, when it says called by my name, it does not mean that the Lord loved them and that they're not called by the Lord's name. Because there are scriptures that disprove that, man. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. Let's go to 2nd Esdras. The heathen are not, the other Esau, Edom, and the other nations are not called by the Lord's name. So it will seem like a contradiction, but it's not. All right. So let's go to 2nd Esdras. Chapter 3 and verse, where is it? I know it's toward the bottom, toward the latter end of the chapter. 2nd Esdras, chapter 3. And I'll start at 32. Because the heathen are not called by the Lord's name. That's Israel, that's Zion. 2nd Esdras 3 and 32. Or is there any other people that knoweth thee beside Israel? Or what generation hath so believed thy covenants as Jacob? Because remember, Amos 3 says, well, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. All right. 2nd Esdras 3 and 33. And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments. Weigh thou therefore all wickedness now in the balance, and theirs also that dwell the world. And so thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. So the only nation that's called by the Lord's name is Israel, not in these other nations. All right, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel. That's the point. All right. So the nations are not called by the Lord's name. All right. So Amos 9 and 12. All right. They have no understanding of that, man. All right. Because that when it says in Amos 9 and 12 that the Esau and the heathen are called by the Lord's name, that means that they're just subject to the rule of Yahweh Bashem Hawashah. And really that's a call for them to be for Esau and the nations to be judged. All right. That's really what it is, man. But the other nations are not called by the Lord's name. That's only Israel. All right. So that's 2nd Esdras 3 and 34. All right. That proves that the nations are not called by the Lord's name. Also, let's go to Isaiah 63. Isaiah 63. And when you read this chapter, this is all about the Lord judging Esau, Edom. So what the hell are these guys, Genesis, Hakan, and Saul, what the hell are they talking about, man? All right. There's no mercy for Esau, Edom. That's in the scriptures, man. Scriptures say they shall be judged without mercy. They have shown no mercy. All right. Esau is the only nation that's not giving mercy, man. And you got some scholars that even admit that. Isaiah chapter 63, verse, where is it? I'm going to go straight to the point. The nations are not called by the Lord's name. That's only us Israelites. Only the nation of Israel. Isaiah 63 I'll start at 17. Isaiah 63 and 17. O Lord, Yahweh, Bashem Hawashah, why hast thou made us to err from thy ways, and harden our hearts from thy fear? Return for thy servant's sake the tribes of thine inheritance. All right, and that's you can read about that in Isaiah 45. All right, Israel is called by the Lord's name, not the other nations. The Lord's servants and elect is Israel, not the other nations. Verse 18, the people of thy holiness have possessed it, but a little while our adversaries have trodden down thy sanctuary. This the point. Verse 19, we are thine, thou never bearest rule over them. They were not called by thy name. So that's a cold cut, man. So when you go back to Isaiah, Salaki, when you go back to Amos chapter 9, all right, it's basically calling for judgment, man. It's not saying that the other nations are called by the Lord's name. So this, because you heard Hassad in the clip, but what about when it says that the Edomites and the nations are called by the Lord's name? What about that? They have no understanding on this scripture, Amos 9 and 12, man. All right, so this is a call for judgment, man, for the nations to be judged. Esau, Edom, and the nations for the Lord to judge them, man. And this is saying that the Lord is going to possess Esau and the heathen. This is really what it's saying, man. That's why in Amos, when you read on down 13, it's telling you. All right. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes him that soweth seed, and the mountain shall drop sweet wine, and all the hills shall melt. And I will bring again the captivity of my people of Israel, and they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land. They shall no more be pulled up out of their land which I gave them, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, thy power. Yeah, and that's what Ezekiel 7 is referring to, how the Lord took us out, pulled us up out of the land. All right, so this is saying that when it says the nations are called by the Lord's name, Esau, Edom, and the heathen, that means the house of David is going to possess them and the lands that they're currently occupying, man. That's what it's saying. Because when you go to Psalms 2, because remember, they're going to be our slaves in the kingdom. We're going to possess them, man. They're going to be under our rulership. Psalms 2 and 8. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So when it says the Edom and the heathen that are called by the Lord's name, meaning the house of David is going to possess them, man. All right, that's what it means. Because when you go back to Obadiah, right, it tells you what's going to happen to them in their land. Obadiah 1. See, Amos 9 and 12 lines up with Obadiah. So let's go to Obadiah. That just means that we're going to possess them and the land, man. That's what that means. Obadiah 1. Because you read 18. So Amos 9 and 12 lines up with Obadiah 1 and 19. Listen to this, man. All right. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. So when it says the Esau, Edom, and the heathen that are called by the Lord's name, that means that the house of David, the elect, all right, is going to possess them in their land. That's what it means, man. It doesn't mean that they're actually called by the Lord's name. All right? Because when you go back, because I read Numbers 24, right? Let's go. Numbers 24 also goes into that. Let's go back to number 24, which I read verse 20 earlier. Let's go back. Numbers 24 and I'm going to go up. Because we just read in Obadiah how the Israelites are, they're of the south, all right, which is Judah, all right. The southern kingdom is going to possess Esau, Edom, and that land, Mount Seir, right? Same thing here in Numbers 24 and 18. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. All right, so Edom, meaning the people, all right, and Mount Seir, the land, that land is going to be a possession for Judah. All right, the house of David is going to possess it. All right, so Amos 9 and 12 means that the house of David is going to possess Edom. All right, and Mount Seir. That's what it's saying, man. See, these guys have no understanding. All right, that's what that means, man. And when you read different translations, it goes into how it also means that these nations are subject to the rule of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Everyone is. All right. Because when you get Amos 9 and 12, I think it's only like one version that correctly puts it. Let's see. Amos 9 and 12. Let's get the different versions. Called by my name, called by thy name, called by my name. Yeah, let's see if one version gives us. I think it's the NET. Let's see. NAV. Did I pass the NET? Yep, here we go. Amos 9 and 12 in the NET. As a result, they will conquer those left in Edom. That's why I said the house of David will possess Edom. All right. They will conquer those left in Edom and all the nations subject to my rule. That's what it means when it says they're called by Edom and the heathen are called by the Lord's name. It means they're subject to his rule, and that the house of David, all right, the Israelites are going to possess them and that land, man. That's what it means. So these guys, Genesis, they're going the hell off, man. No understanding, which we believe that they sold out. They've taken the bag. All right. So these guys, they're going the hell off, man. All right. Now that's that. All right. So they went off on that. We got that. Now let's go here. All right, because they're saying that the Greeks that Paul taught were bloodline Edomites. All right, which they have no understanding on that. The original Greeks were not even Edomites. All right, because you can see on the slide that they have here says, and we have illustrated the prophets, disciples, Paul, and even Yahweh Shah Hamashiach taught himself extended salvation to non-Israelites, which that's wrong, man. That's 100% wrong. That's bullshit. Paul in particular was going to mostly Greek provinces and teaching the people there what is the biblical nationality of these European nations. Edomites. That's not true, man. All right. The biblical nationality of the Greeks that Paul was preaching and teaching salvation to, that he was teaching Yahweh Shah to, was blood Israelites. They were Edomites by seed, man. Salakia, they were Israelites by seed. They were not Edomites. All right. So what do we do about Obadiah's vision concerning Edom? Let's examine it. And that's why I started with that, Obadiah 1 and 18. All right, so for this part, they're saying that the Greeks that Paul taught were Edomites and other nations. No, man, they were Israelites. The original Greeks were not even Edomites. They were Japhites. They were Japhetic people. Minoans, Etruscans. All right. So Esau took that land from the Japhetic people, from Japheth, because the original people that were Japhites, man. They weren't Edomites. All right, but the Greeks that Paul taught and preached salvation to were Israelites, not Edomites, man. Now let's prove that. Let's go to. Well, of course we got to go to the Apocrypha. We got to start with that. Let's go to First Maccabees, chapter 1. Verse, I'll start at 10. And this is a heavy. Got to start with this one in the Apocrypha. First Maccabees 1 and 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. And he's talking about the Edomite Greeks. All right. Because Antiochus, they're all Edomites. All right. Antiochus, Alexander, they were all Edomites. In those days, when went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And you got that to this day. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. That's where you get the modern day gyms. You got people in there half naked, working out. This goes all the way back to the Greeks, man. To the Edomites. All right. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. So they were uncircumcised, man. They were calling themselves Greek, speaking Greek, long hair, tattoos all over their body, man. They were living after the Greekish fashion. So this shows you that Israelites became Greek. That's the point. Let's go to 2 Maccabees and further prove that. 2 Maccabees chapter 6. All right. 2 Maccabees chapter 6, I'll start at the top. Not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of the Most High. And to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, and that in Gerizim of Jupiter, the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwelt in the place. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people. For the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles who dallied with harlots and had to do with women with the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. The altar was also filled with profane things which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So you had Jews that became Gentiles. They became Greek. All right, living after the Greekish fashion. All right, so Israelites became Greek. They became Gentiles. That's the point. So the Greeks that Paul taught and preached salvation to were Israelites by nationality, by seed. But they were living like Greeks. All right, speaking Greek, calling themselves Greek, keeping the customs of the Greek. All right, which when I say Greek, talking about the Edomites. All right, so that's where you get that from, man. That's how the Israelites became Greeks. That's why the Apostle Paul said there's either Jew nor Greek, because they both are Israelites. If he was talking about all nations, why would he just specify Jews and Greeks? If he's talking about all nations, why would he name those two in particular, man? Because those Greeks were Israelites, man. All right, just like you got Israelites today. They're Israelites by blood, by seed, but they say, no, I ain't no Israelite. I'm American. I ain't no Israelites, and they're Israelites by blood, by nationality, but they're Gentiles. They're in a Gentile state of mind, and you had that back then, man. All right, so you had Israelites, All right, living after the Greekish fashion, calling themselves Greek, identified as Greeks. All right, let's go to Ephesians, the 2nd chapter. So Paul was not teaching bloodline Edomites. He was teaching blood Israelites. Israelites by seed, by blood, man. He was not teaching Edomites and other nations. He was teaching Israelites that were in a Gentile state of mind. All right, living like Gentiles. Ephesians 2 and 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles, because this is during the Roman captivity. Paul, the Apostle Paul, he's referring back to the Greek captivity. That's why he said in time past. All right. Wherefore remember that ye being in time past, because Paul knew his history. You can't know the mystery without knowing the history. That's why the mystery of the Gentiles, man, it goes over the majority of our people's head because they don't know the history. Israelites became Greek. And this is what the Apostle Paul is referring back to, what I just read in the Maccabees. All right. Ephesians 2 and 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh, made by hands. So the Jews that kept the custom, all right, that didn't convert to being Greeks, all right, they saw them as Gentiles, as the other nations. All right, they were called uncircumcision by the circumcision. All right, because it was a big thing back then because you had some of the Jews that saying no, they shouldn't be brought in. Look what they doing. You know, so you had a lot of Jews that were saying no, forget them, man. No, they can't come back. All right, look how they living, man. They're homos, you know. They eating swine, sacrificing swine, not keeping the law. So the circumcision were like, no, we ain't fooling with them, man. No, they through. Look at them, man. We don't need to let them back in. But Apostle Paul knew prophecy, man, that they had to be brought back in, man. And those are those wild olive branches. All right. When you read Romans 11, all right. And when Yahushua said he had other sheep which are not of this fold, he was talking about the Israelites that had became Gentiles, man. And the Apostle Paul knew that. All right. So let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Or is it 2 Corinthians? Or is it 1 Corinthians 12, I'm thinking? Is it 1 Corinthians 12? Yep. 1 Corinthians 12, I'll start at the top. 1 Corinthians 12 and 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. So the Apostle Paul saying that, hey, y'all were Gentiles, but hey, y'all can come back through Yahushua. You know, Yahushua went up on that cross, so hey, y'all can be brought back in. Y'all can be grafted back in, man. Y'all can be grafted back in. Because they were given the covenant, all right. They're the people of they're the Lord's chosen people, but they had became Gentiles, all right, spiritually, all right. They were in a Gentile state of mind, and this is the Apostle Paul telling them that, hey, in times past y'all were Gentiles, but hey, y'all can come back through Yahushua. Mercy is extended unto you through the sacrifice of our Lord Yahushua. This is what the Apostle Paul was saying to those Israelites that had became Greek, all right. So the Apostle Paul was not teaching blood Edomites. You know, he was teaching Israelites that had became Greeks. So these guys, they're going the hell off, man. Let's go to John, the 7th chapter. This is the book of St. John, chapter 7, and verse, I'm going to go straight to the point, verse 35. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentile? Now, why would Yahweh be going to the Gentiles? Are these natural Gentiles? No, these are Israelites that are in a Gentile state of mind, living amongst the Gentiles, living like the Gentiles. Let's get some different versions. He was going to Israelites that were calling themselves Greeks and living amongst the Greeks. Let's get some different versions. John 7 and 35. This is the NLT, John 7 and 35 in the NLT. The Jewish leaders were puzzled by this statement. And we know Jewish is going off, it's really just Jews. All right. The Jewish leaders were puzzled by this statement. Where is he planning to go? They asked. Is he thinking of leaving the country and going to the Jews in other lands? Woo! Maybe he will even teach the Greeks. So these Greeks were Jews in other lands, calling themselves Greeks, speaking Greeks, living after the Greekish fashion. Look at the NIV. John 7 and 35 in the NIV. The Jews said one to another, Where does this man intend to go that we cannot find him? Will he go where our people live, scattered among the Greeks, and teach the Greeks? So the point is that the Israelites were dwelling, all right, scattered amongst the Greeks, calling themselves Greek, living after the Greekish fashion. All right. He's teaching dispersed Israelites, man. Look at the ESV. The Jews said one to another, where does this man intend to go that we will not find him? Does he intend to go to the dispersion among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? Look at the CSB. Then the Jews said one to another, where does he intend to go that we won't find him? He doesn't intend to go to the Jewish people dispersed among the Greeks and teach the Greeks, does he? So you had Israelites that were dwelling amongst the Greeks. All right. That were in a Gentile and a Greek state of mind. Let's go read an account, an example. Let's go to Mark the 7th chapter. Mark 7. And I'll go straight to the point. The Syrophoenician woman. Mark 7 and 24. And from thence he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Zidon, and entered into an house, and he would have no man know it, but he could not be hid. For a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him, and came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. Now this Syrophoenician woman is an Israelite. All right, because Syrophoenician, that's Syria and Phoenicia, because you had Israelites dwelling in that land, in the land of Canaan. All right, so this Syrophoenician woman who was a Greek, her nationality by blood, by seed, she's an Israelite. All right, but she was in a Greek state of mind, a Gentile state of mind. All right, verse 27, but Yahweh shall say unto her, let the children be filled first, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. Now, why did Yahweh shall say that if this woman is an Israelite, why is Yahweh shall calling her a dog? Because you can read that all throughout the scripture. Israelites are being called dogs. Let's get an example. All right. I know it's one in Revelation. Because when you living after in a Gentile state of mind, when you're not keeping the laws, you're likened unto a dog. For without, I know it's in Revelation, I can't remember exactly. Yep, Revelation 22 and 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates of the city. For without, meaning without the commandments, without the law, which our people had became without the law, in the Greek captivity and the Roman captivity. All right. For without, meaning without the law and the commandments, for without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie. So that's why Yahweh shall call this Israelite woman a dog. And you can read about it read that in Isaiah, where he's talking about wicked Israelites, false prophets, he said they're dumb dogs that cannot bark. So Israelites were called dogs, man. So this Syrophoenician woman, this Greek, she's an Israelite. All right, and there's many lessons we've done on that, man. Going into this account, how giving the breakdown on how she's an Israelite. So I'm not gonna go all into that, but the Syrophoenician woman is an Israelite. All right, and Timothy's father it says he was a Greek, but is he a Greek? No, he was an Israelite that was living after the Greekish fashion. Let's go there. Acts 16 and 1. Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, and this is Timothy, the son of a certain woman who was a Jewess and believed, but his father was a Greek. So was Timothy's father an actual Greek? No. He was an Israelite that was in a Greek, living after the Greekish fashion. All right, because you had two different kind of Greeks. You had the Hellenists and the Hellenista. You know, you had the Greeks that knew that they were Israelites. All right, and you had the Greeks that didn't, that spoke Greek. All right, and that's what Timothy's father was, man. He was an Israelite, but he was living like a Greek. But his mother, she professed to be a Jew. She was, rehearsing the righteous acts. All right. So Timothy, was his father an actual Greek? No, his father was an Israelite. So there's many examples, man, all right, of the Jews being called Greeks because they had became Greeks during the Greek captivity, man. So it's simple. It's not hard, man. But see, when you sold out, when you've taken the bag, this is what you get, man. All right. So these guys, salvation is only for Israel, man. Many scriptures, Matthew 15 and 24. You got Acts 5 and 30. Acts the 13th chapter. Many scriptures, man. All right. Countless scriptures on how salvation is only for Israel, man. All right. So these guys, they're going the hell off, get the hell away from them, and they're about to be judged, man. At least they'll repent, which I don't think they are, man. So these guys, they're going off, they're false prophets, man. Salvation is only for Israel. Only Israelites will get beamed up into the chariot, man. Not the other nations. All right. So salvation is only for Israel. I pray that this has been edifying to the elect through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shah B'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well in all truth and sincerity. Shalom, peace and blessing to the hopeful elect. The house of David started with 144,000, followed by the 1/3 remnant. Or Bible Ball. Shalom.